And I've been thinking a lot about the punt for the Jets. And just, if you look at it like young coaches in the NFL, right? Shanahan, McVay, LaFleur, Saleh, the group of young guys, especially the Shanahan tree, they really, really care about, most of them, offense, right? They're offensive head coaches who call the plays. Or Robert Saleh, while he's not a defensive coordinator, he lets Jeff Ulbrich do that. Defense is his baby, and you see this year they've gotten better players. The defense is dramatically better, right? He's a former linebacker coach. That's where he spends his time. The front seven, like that's his baby. And when you think about football in general, they say it's a three-phase game, and in reality, it is. But ultimately, like, it's probably 45-45 offense, defense, like 10% special teams. Maybe a little more. But when you think about the old school coaches, Bill Belichick being, I think, the oldest coach in the league, special teams is a very, very big deal to him, right? Why? He coached special teams once upon a time. John Harbaugh was a special teams coach. Now, he started mentoring under Jim Johnson, coaching DBs, but he's a special teams guy at his core. Even his brother Jim, when he was with the 49ers and coached in the league, he put Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, his star players, Dante Whitner, played special teams. He took that shit very, very seriously. I've watched Kyle Shanahan for a long time. He does not care about special teams at all. He does not give a shit. His buddy, who's now the special teams coach in Chicago, which Kyle was basically forced to fire, was god-awful with the 49ers. And it wasn't until LaFleur, whose special teams were even worse, that the 49ers were able to make a play against special teams last year. But old school coaches value it. Not more than offense or defense. You never are going to. But that piece of the pie, instead of being 45-45-10, might be 40-40-20. And Andy Reid, I've seen it. Like, he's not that big into special teams. Well, what did he do when he went to Kansas City? He took easily the best special teams coach in the league, Dave Toub, and he's, become like his right-hand guy. And for a long period of time, many people have argued that Toub should be a head coaching candidate. Like, he could be a John Harbaugh type guy. So Andy Reid hired the best in the business and just lets him handle it, and they've been pretty damn good. But when I see Robert Saleh yesterday, like, even though he's not the defensive coordinator, he's consumed with defense and his quarterback. Well, however many seconds were left when the punt unit came onto the field, you know the last guy who would have been focused on what was going on probably? Robert Saleh. When if you think about it, Marcus, I forget the guy's last name, the Marcus, what's his name? I don't know. My brain's not working today. The returner for the Patriots did the same thing last year in college. A Houston SMU game. There was a little more time left on the clock, basically a walk-off punt return. And if that had been the equivalent of an offensive or defensive player that had that level of moment, it would have been a huge deal in the scouting report, right, for one of the coordinators. And the head coach more than likely would have emphasized it in team meetings. Now, I'm not saying that the Jets special teams coordinator probably didn't bring it up, but you can't tell me it was emphasized at the same level with offense or defense. And when you look at this situation, and when you're the head coach who's not calling being the defensive coordinator, you have to take a bigger role in the entire team. And that, to me, yesterday's loss is ultimately on Zach Wilson, but Robert Saleh deserves some blame. Because under no circumstances can you kick that right down the pipe, especially to a guy who's clearly a threat to return it to the house. And who did. And it was awesome. It was fun to watch. Now, you could argue there was a block in the back, side to side. I'm glad they didn't call it because it didn't change the outcome. But like these younger coaches, they get a hard-on for their side of the ball and their core position. Where it's like, guys, you got to pay attention to special teams. I don't need you to be John Harbaugh to know what the third guy on kick return, the L1, the R4, I don't need you to be that. But if you don't emphasize it to your team, shit like that's going to happen, and then you're going to be mad the day after, and it's too late.